Hey, welcome everyone. We'll start in a minute as more attendees arrive. Please stand by. Cool. I think I see a lot of attendees joining now. Okay. Yeah, so good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're connecting from. To introduce myself, I'm Shashidhar, and I'm part of Citrix Ready technical team. So today we will talk about how Automai helps robotic automation of applications which run in Citrix environment. And we have Sam Benia, CTO, Automai Corporation, and Amy L. Crawford, EVP Growth Strategies from Liquid Payments, who will walk us through this webinar. Thanks for joining us, Sam and Amy.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. And yeah, I would like to thank everyone for attending this webinar today. And I would like to welcome you all to the Citrix Ready Technical Webinar Series, where we showcase how Citrix and our partners have integrated to deliver valuable products and solutions to the common problems which are faced by our customers today. So before we start this presentation, I would like to mention that if you have any questions during the webinar, please use the question panel on the right-hand side of the GTW window, and we will take up your questions in the Q&A session at the end. And also this webinar is being recorded as well. So this will be posted on our Citrix Ready YouTube channel later. So you could visit that as well. You will be receiving emails with all the details. Next slide, please, Sam.
Here we are.
Thank you. Yeah, so as you all might know that Citrix Ready is an end-to-end technology partner program which showcases how the third-party vendors have integrated their solutions, services, and then how their products have been validated with Citrix products. And once they go through the technical verification, they are listed on the Citrix Ready Marketplace with the compatibility that showcases all the Citrix products that it has been verified with. So this makes or this gives an opportunity to the customers who can quickly and easily find the solutions recommended by Citrix by just navigating to Citrix Ready Marketplace. One could find the Citrix Ready verified products here with all the compatibilities listed, the product details, if at all there are any resources attached to these products, these all could be found on the product page, which is hosted on Citrix Ready Marketplace. And for more information on the Citrix Ready program, you can navigate to citrix.com, partner programs, Citrix Ready. Next slide, please, Sam. Thanks. Oh yeah, so there it is. We do have some exciting takeaway from this webinar. So we keep a track of all the attendees who are joining this webinar. So every 10th attendee who is joining here, they will be eligible to get an Amazon Echo Dot. So please do keep logging in, keep an eye on the emails. You might be the lucky one. So without any further delay, Sam, the stage is all is yours. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Shashi, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm going to try to be brief and present what, give you an introduction to what our products are about quickly, and then hand it over to Amy Crawford to tell us how Liquid Payments is using our solutions, so you can hear firsthand from a use case from our customers. So I'll give you an overview of Automai platform and how Automai RPA is the solution uniquely suited for Citrix. I'll show you quickly how to create a script in less than 5 minutes, a small script, and in a Citrix environment. Then, like I said before, I'll hand it over to Liquid Payment to talk about their customers that are using different versions of Citrix, different environments, and how our RPA solution is helping them achieve that. So let me see here. A quick introduction. We've been Automate was established in 2000, so we've been around for 21 years. We've been partners of Citrix for 10 years now. We automate Citrix applications, whether we have an integrated testing solutions with the monitoring, and I'll cover that quickly in next slide. We have flexible licensing, and it is a true front-end technology with nothing installed on Citrix environment or the application that is to be automated. So we know that automation is an integral part of today's business because it saves time and effort, especially on repetitive tasks. It allows your employees to focus on more important tasks and ensures compliance and improve customer experience. And we see a steady growth of adoption of RPA in the market, business market today. And hopefully today, what we want to achieve is for you to know how Automate is uniquely designed for automating processes in Citrix environment. The myth number one about RPA is that it is usually it's big projects and they're very expensive. But with Automate, you can start with one process. Actually, we recommend to start with small and get a hang of it and see how it works and learn as you're automating your processes and monitoring the ROI. And that's how our customers have successful projects and implemented the RPA. It's also, there's a myth that image-based automation technologies are hard to maintain. The scripts, the automations break because the images change or move or all these things. We've been doing this for over 15 years now, and we perfected those the image and OCR solutions. And we have thousands of customers today that are using our automation to automate their businesses. So like I was saying before, we've been doing this since, well, actually since 2005. We exist since 2000. Our first performance testing solution was launched in 2005. It was actually a robotic testing solution that was designed with Citrix in mind. So that's why we came up with the robotic solution that evolved over the years to now to include RPA solutions as well. And it's all based on the same engine, it's the same engine, which means that with the same script, same automation, you can simulate thousands of users from all your point of presence and generating orders in your system all over the globe. And you can also, with that script, simulate different test cases, like simulating orders under $10, over $100, and it will create automatically test cases for you and run them and make sure that that your system is ready for production. Once it moves to production, the production environment, you can continuously monitor and make sure that your end users are getting the right response time, the expected response time. And if there are any issues, you can get alerts and actually integrate them with other monitoring systems. And also for RPA, you can have read orders from Excel or from emails or from other systems, and then enter them into your system, like system accessible through Citrix. And that's what we're going to see. That's what this webinar is about. So it is suitable for Citrix because it's all from the front end. Our automation is generated the same way the end user interacts with the desktop. It doesn't matter what versions of Citrix it is or what environments of Citrix it would work. You don't need to add any plugins. You don't need to understand how the application works. It's literally how you explain to an end user how to use the application. That's how the robot will interact with the application. Like I was saying before, it supports multi-factor authentication, storefront login, workspace login workflows, and it doesn't matter any point of access, whether it's the workspace app or from WebView or Citrix on the cloud or on-prem. It's not only it works with all these environments, but it's the same way of creating the automation, no matter how the environment is or how it's installed or how the access is to the application. It's we will see in the live demo in creating the automation is that there's no code necessary whatsoever. It's all just recording the automation as you go through your application, and that the live demo will be, I'll just show you how it's simple to log into Citrix and log into a small medical applications that we published on our Citrix in the lab, add a patient and then log out, and all this will be done in less than 5 minutes, so that I can hand it to Amy. So let me see here. I can. So here's the environment that I have to create the script in. So let's just say Citrix RPA webinar. Of course, you give it a name, webinar. And here it tells you, do you want to create access web application or or launch application from the command line, or even scripts one step at a time manually. It's all the same. It just will launch a web browser with the URL you gave it, and it starts recording. For this, we're just gonna, since I have it already published, I'll just start recording. And as I'm going through the application, it is analyzing, continuously analyzing what's happening on the desktop. If I can remember here, and then taking images that it needs to take to make sure that when it plays back, if that image is not in the same location, you will still find it. If the image is not exactly the same, but it's the same image, but it changed, the pixel changed a little bit slightly, it will still find it. It can even look for images in black and white. So here, when the desktop opens up, we're just going to go through the application, log in, and then go to the patient menu and enter a new patient. And basically what it's doing now, it's doing a combination of images, taking what it needs to play back successfully, a combination of images and OCR. So if I just go here, Sam, I'm just going to enter a few and then just put here the date. Today's date is, well, let's say 20 October, and then let's say 2000. There it is, and that's it. So now, where's the button to add, save and close? Okay, close, and then close here, and then so now close in, login off Citrix, and that's it. Let's close here, and this is what was created. Let me expand it a little bit. So you see, as I was going through the application, it knew that I clicked on username. It knows what it is. So if it doesn't find it with just the image, it can find it with OCR, and then it's clicking to its right, and then it's doing the same thing with the password. So it doesn't matter where it finds it. Like I said, if it moved, it will click in the right location. We have the password in clear here. Of course, we can encrypt it. Once it's encrypted, you can never decrypt it. And all this data can also come from different systems or come from variables. And the password actually can be stored with the Microsoft Password Manager. So as you see here, it's pretty simple, straightforward what was created, and it tries to take images with mouse over, without mouse over, and you see here it's always adding what those images are, and we have the tolerance in here as well. It's pretty straightforward, but you can add any business logic to your automation meaning that you can call APIs, you can run PowerShell scripts, you can read text on the screen, you can read from Excel, and more importantly, you can add any logic like if conditions, loops, switches, and handle any failures that might happen in the script to recover from or just fail and be done with it. I mean, and report the failures. And we have a very, because of our background in testing, we have a very advanced reporting capabilities with the RPA. If there are any issues, if your automation fails anywhere, you get a screenshot of what was on a desktop at the time of the failure and what the robot was trying to do at that time and why it failed. So without any further, I don't want to take too much. I think my time is up. My 15 minutes are up, and now I'm going to hand it. And if you have any questions about this at the end in the Q&A, please do ask us, and I will address them. And if we don't have time, I can always respond to you directly. Thank you. Now I'll hand it over to you, Amy.
Great. Thank you, Sam. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen here. One moment.
Perfect.
Okay, Sam, that's coming through okay? You can see my screen?
Yep. Yeah, but we see your comments on the right as well.
Okay, let me, for some reason it wasn't giving me that option originally.
Now we good.
Perfect.
Now it looks fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. Well, so as Shashi introduced in the beginning, I am Amy Crawford, and I am the EVP of Growth Strategies and Business Development here at Liquid Payments. So that includes some sales and product development. Before I jump in, I do want to take a moment to say thank you to Sam and the Automate team, as well as to Citrix, as our host for including us today. We definitely appreciate the opportunity to participate in this discussion and showcase our application of RPA and specifically how we're leveraging the Automate toolset. I am joined on the call today by a few other members, key members of the Liquid team. So our CEO, Shashi Kapoor, is on the call, our CTO, Kalyan Ravi, and John Young, who is our Technical Implementation Manager. John is very close to all the facets of our RPA technology deployment and processes, and you will hear from him a little later in the presentation as well. So as noted here, I will first give an overview of Liquid Payments as a company, which will help to provide some additional context as I begin to describe how we're applying robotics as a critical component of our overall solution. And then from there, John is going to share some further details in terms of how we deploy RPA and specifically in a Citrix environment. And this will feature 3 different customer use cases. And then finally, we will share what is on the horizon for us in terms of RPA optimization and innovation. Okay, so who is Liquid Payments? Liquid Payments is a financial technology innovator in the healthcare payment space. We provide payments processing solutions specifically to the healthcare market, which we broadly define to include medical practices of various sizes and specialties, health systems, dental and orthodontia practices, DSOs, which are dental service organizations, as well as veterinary hospitals. So we're sitting in the patient to provider or the client to provider payments stream, and our technology is integrated with most of the major merchant processors in the US today. So as you can see here from this slide, we've been in market a little over 5 years, since 2016. We're 75 employees strong and growing. And you see some stats here in terms of, the number of payment transactions that we're processing per month through our platform, as well as our processing volume. So, in summary, we're serving a little over 400 practice locations around the country today. and again, growing. One thing I did want to highlight here that's very applicable to this discussion is Liquid Payments was named a leading innovator in healthcare payments by Business Insider Intelligence. And it was, in fact, our utilization and application of RPA specifically, which earned us this distinction in our fintech industry in 2019. So to further illustrate our solution, what you're looking at here is a high-level visual depiction of the end-to-end platform. And I'm just going to walk through each of these components briefly so we can better correlate and connect the dots in terms of our application of RPA. So the first two aspects of the solution shown here are representative of our core payments processing functionality. So starting all the way to the left of your screen, you see our in-office payment experience. So in the office, we're deploying our application on what we call smart payment terminals. So these are Wi-Fi wireless Android app-based terminals. They do not require any third-party software to drive them. And we chose these devices for a few reasons, not just because it's a nice, modern, mobile intake process for our healthcare practices, but also for two other important reasons which support other features of our solution. The first is what we call tokenization. That just means that when a patient or a client comes in to make a payment in the office, we're able to capture and store the encrypted version of the payment card at that time for future use. But even more applicable to this discussion, we're able to control the data that we consume with each payment, which helps to support the RPA logic. And I'm going to talk about that further as we move forward. In the middle box here, middle of the screen, you see what is representative of our e-commerce transaction types or card not present. So this functionality includes the ability for our provider and our practices to do things like, auto charge balances owed to a card that has been previously captured on file, set up an automatic recurring payment plan or subscription plan, for example, all the contactless payment options, so text to pay, email to pay. We also have summary statements that are actionable, so patients, clients can receive text or email with embedded links that they can click on and make payments, right from their mobile device. We also host online payments pages that are connected to our customers' websites. And additionally, we have a very robust messaging platform, text and email within the solution, which helps facilitate improved communication with patients and clients all around the payments. And then, of course, coming to the third, leg of the stool, if you will, all the way to the right is our robotics processing automation. So the way that we apply RPA in our solution is anytime payments are processed anywhere on the Liquid platform, whether in the office through one of the devices that are shown here, or through any of the card not present transactions, our bot, our robotics is running in the background and posting those payments into the underlying practice management system, or EMR, EHR, directly into that patient or client ledger. And how do we do this? Well, the cool part about how we've structured our solution and the way we leverage the payment terminals and our card not present features is that we're able to push and capture configurable parameters necessary, again, to support that RPA logic and that workflow. So essentially, this enables us to be agnostic to the underlying practice management systems that our customers are using, provide a superior payment solution, have this financial data auto-posted into their systems, and eliminate the need for manual entry without any dependencies on the underlying system. So with that backdrop of the Liquid solution, you can begin to see how our application of RPA and working with the Automate toolset is absolutely mission critical to our customers. So this is definitely not, a back office process that's invisible, or, a data analysis or something that's being done retrospectively. It is very much a forward-facing, highly visible, time-sensitive type of application of RPA, which has an impact on our front-end users as well as their downstream customers, which in this case is patients and clients, of those healthcare or veterinary practices. So for this reason, we have done a lot of work in-house along with Automate to optimize this technology and this aspect of our solution. And many of you on the call, you may be aware there are literally hundreds and thousands of practice management systems and EMRs, EHRs out there. And there are those that are more prevalent, in certain specialties that we encounter more often. However, throughout our client base, we have implemented RPA with a host of different systems. And then even among practices who use the same practice management system, workflows can vary. So for example, you may have two dental practices and they both use a particular dental application, perhaps it's Dentrix or it's Eaglesoft, but their workflow is different, or they have more dentists that work out of the office and they want payments posted to a particular provider or coded in a specific way. Is it a copay? Is it a deductible? So these are just examples of workflows or processes that can vary amongst practices, even when using the same practice management system. So as mentioned on the previous slide, the fact that we can set up and push configurable parameters to accommodate these types of variances in logic and support the RPA processes enables us to handle a more complex, workflow. Additionally, these practice management systems themselves may be deployed differently. So while we come across some web-based systems, particularly in the healthcare market, we still see primarily, Windows desktop server-based applications, and many of those practices, have a Citrix environment, and Citrix is part of their infrastructure. So we've had to work through deploying our automation tools, not only with different systems and workflows, some more complex than others, but also in a way which accommodates, these varying IT environments. And Sam had alluded to that, as well in his opening remarks. So what you're looking at here is a sampling of the server-based implementations that we have today. And of course, we know that RPA is, universally applicable. And this, of course, is not an exhaustive list of systems, but this is just a sampling. This really is a distinct competitive advantage, in terms of our solution. And this is an asset that, again, we can deploy to work with any underlying companion system. Now, in our case, we have implemented a strategy where we've stratified systems into two tiers. So tier one would include systems that we encounter very often. They're just more widely used in the market. And we've seen different flavors of that system in terms of different implementations. So we feel that, we've been able to create basically a super bot, right, with all the iterations that we've gone through in workflow. And so that's our tier one systems. So when we acquire a customer with a tier one system, it really becomes an expedited implementation, more about validation and deployment of our tool set, again, the Automate tool set. The tier two systems are those systems that perhaps we've never seen before or we encounter more infrequently. And then in those cases, we would basically apply our standard RPA implementation and development process. So, one of the things that's important to recognize here is, since this is universally applicable, as we go to market and we acquire customers using different systems, as it says here, our repertoire, our portfolio, if you will just continue, to expand. So when we do encounter those tier 2 systems, we have a very prescribed, if you will, implementation process when we're implementing RPA. And there are really 3 high-level steps, that we go through. And one is to establish the connectivity to the practice management system, right? And first, before accessing the practice management system, we often have to, get to the server or, wherever the application resides. So that's the first step. Then we do confirm the payment posting protocols, with our customers. So that's that requirements gathering. And we have a specific list of questions that we go through. And then we complete the development of the automation, we validate it, and we deploy that out to the customer and essentially take them live, with RPA. So at this point, what I'd like to do is go ahead and turn it over to John, who will walk us through, more specifically how we establish connectivity, and again, specifically in a Citrix environment. So John, take it away.
Thank you, Amy, for the overview of the Liquid Payments platform and reviewing the features and functions that does make the Liquid system so unique in our industry space. So next, yes, I'd like to discuss how we actually achieve connectivity into the practice management system used by some of our clients that do operate in the Citrix environment. We'll typically connect into a user machine or dedicated workstation at the client's location using a VPN client. This client, we can supply it because we find that many practices don't actually have a standalone VPN appliance that we can use. So in that case, we're more than happy to supply the client. The user machine or dedicated workstation can be a virtual or real station running Windows 10. And in many practices, they do have a virtualized IT environment and will, for example, simply spin up a virtual workstation in VMware or Hyper-V. This station also actually hosts the installation of the robot, which are made up of the automation application and toolset. For Citrix implementations, this station also hosts the Citrix Workspace app, which we will review in a couple of real-life use cases next. Essentially, the connectivity that we require are very similar to what a remote employee would need to log in and use the practice management system. Next slide, Amy. Hello?
Yeah, hey, John. I am trying to switch slides here. There you go. There you go. Sorry, it took a couple clicks.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So here we have one of our featured clients, McElroy Orthodontics. And at their practice, they are using CareStream OrthoTrack system, which is running in a Citrix environment. So for this particular RPA implementation, the practice does have a dedicated workstation that we use to host the Citrix Workspace app, the Automai RPA tools, and the VPN connection that we use to remote into that station. So for example, on the station, the Liquid Automai robot would start the OrthoTrack system just like an employee would, except we're using automated mouse movements and image recognition to click on the OrthoTrack app in the Citrix environment to start the loading and launch sequence of the application. Once the OrthoTrack app finishes loading, the robot would then log into the application using credentials set up by the practice manager. After the robot is logged in, it continues to navigate within the app, and again, using image recognition and OCR and mouse keyboard control to post the credit card payment details as needed in real time, just like a human would. A little later in the webinar, we'll have a short video showing these processes from start to finish. In our next featured client, Ear, Nose, and Throat Center, their Greenway Health system, which is their practice management system, is also hosted in a Citrix environment. We do use a dedicated workstation at the practice, again, as a home. You can think of it as a home for the Automai robot, the Citrix app, and the VPN connection. And although this practice management system is different, the flexibility of the Automai RPA allows us to accommodate these variations. We just program the robot to look for different screen elements and use different UI navigation, just like a real person who is trained in both systems. Our last featured client, Amy, thank you, is Devlin Orthodontics. And similar to McElroy Ortho, they're also running OrthoTrack in a Citrix environment. And as you guessed it, we're using a station to host the Citrix Workspace app and Automai robot. And very similar at Devlin, the robot is launching the OrthoTrack system with the Citrix Workspace app and then logging into the system with user credentials and also navigating within the app using image recognition and keyboard mouse control. One difference from OrthoTrack that I wanted to mention is that at this practice, they happen to have two different office locations. However, because both locations share the same common patient database in OrthoTrack in the Citrix environment, we really only have to deploy one Automai robot and use one Citrix connection for this implementation. So one of their offices, has the dedicated workstation that we connect into, although the robot works for both locations. So essentially, using Automai has allowed us this strategic flexibility to accommodate a wide variety of client IT infrastructures, including Citrix, and successfully use RPA with an equally wide range of practice management systems. We are IT and health management system agnostic.
Great. Thank you so much, John. That was super informative and way more technical than I could do, and I know that this audience appreciates that. So thanks so much.
Sure.
Yeah. So again, I think for the audience, to summarize, we are processing various types of payments, and essentially those payments are running through our RPA processes, in the Automate, leveraging Automate tool sets, and again, posting that financial data back into the practices management systems used by our customers. We do have a short video that I'm going to play here and talk through, and go ahead and hit play. So this is essentially one of our bots that is logging in to a practice management system. In this case, it is Greenway Health and specifically Entergy. And as you can see, the bot is going through this initial launch, right, of the Citrix workspace. And then once in the Citrix workspace, we are launching Entergy as the app. And now the bot is essentially going to log in to the practice management system to post a payment. So one of the things that you'll see here is this is actually the Ear, Nose, and Throat Center that was one of the customers that John featured. And our bot is essentially going to log in and post a payment here. Now, we have actually slowed this part of the video down just a hair because when this is happening in real time, it's very quick. But you can see the bot is going in, looking up the patient for whom the payment was taken by an account number that was associated with the payment, locating the patient so that the bot can go into that specific ledger and post the payment. So in this case, the payment you'll see here in a moment was $50 that was processed through our platform. And the bot here now will post that $50 payment. Additionally, what you'll see as the bot works through is we're able to come down and select, for example, the card type, as well as drop in the authorization code that was received back when the credit card was processed and ultimately approved. So, this is the bot at work, real life case scenario, boom, this payment is posted. Very cool here. This patient had a credit on their account of $20. So the system had a prompt, hey, do you want to apply the remaining balance, as an unapplied credit? And our bot said yes. And that was, of course, based on requirements gathering on the front end with our customer. So now the bot is just simply going back in to validate the payment was posted. So hopefully that really brings it, full circle to show everyone, a bot in action, right? So this is a liquid implementation of the bot leveraging automate tools in practice. Okay. So as we wrap up the liquid portion of the presentation, I wanted to talk briefly about, what are we looking at in terms of, what's on the horizon for liquid payments. We are an innovator in this space. This is a critical, component to our overall solution. And so I wanted to talk about 3 primary areas that we are working on now. One is relative to monitoring tools. So as Sam mentioned in the beginning, there are monitoring tools that are in place. And what we've done is leverage those tools and done some further development so that we can have really a real-time view, a dashboard, if you will, into the performance of all our bots. And as we've talked about, since our bots and the way we're applying RPA is so mission critical, we want our internal teams to have, great tools to be alerted if the bot encounters, any issues or there's any disruption, so that we can get out in front of it, be proactive and react to it before it has any impact on our customers. So we have monitoring tools, and we're very focused on continuing to develop and optimize those tools and develop additional dashboards and so forth. Additionally, sequencing. So this is really interesting. By sequencing, what we mean is we've recently implemented some conditional time elements to prioritize the payment posting for the bot. So as a real life case scenario, we have a pediatric dental group up in the Northeast. And in addition to patients coming in and making payments in the office or online, they have a number of patients on automatic payment plans, as do many dental and orthodontia providers. And many of these practices, when they have folks on auto payment, these payments hit at the same day every month, right? So in this case, it's the 15th. So when the auto payments are processed, let's say on the 15th, and the 15th falls on a weekday, a regular office day like it did this month on a Friday, you have hundreds of auto payments being processed, and the bot is posting those payments. However, there are also patients in the office making a co-payment on a device or coming in perhaps to make a one-time payment or paying online. So how does the bot know what to prioritize? So we've developed a way to identify for the bot, hey, if you're posting a recurring payment or an auto payment on a given day, and another payment type comes in that is an in-person payment or a different payment type, that's a priority. So stop posting your auto payment and move to post the other payment type first. And the reason for that is if you have a patient who's standing in the office and making a payment, they may be waiting on perhaps a printout of their ledger from the practice management system, and they want the last payment made to be reflected in that statement, for example. So that would take priority, again, over the processing of auto payments. So this is where, again, we have a bot running in a particular implementation for a particular practice, and there's different payment types coming in, and we are adding some sequencing logic to the posting of those payments. And last but not least is parallel processing. So this is really exciting and something we're working on right now and we'll be implementing soon. Parallel processing, what we mean by this is today, the trigger for our bot to kick off its job, right, and post that payment is an approval of a payment transaction. However, what we are moving towards is actually having the bot trigger when the user starts to take the payment. So instead of making this a linear process where the user takes a credit card payment, it goes through the merchant processing, it gets approved, the bot picks it up and now goes in and posts it into the practice management system, we want the bot to be alerted at the point and to say, hey, I detect a user is about to take a payment for patient 1, 2, 3, 4. I, as the bot, am going to go ahead and log into the practice management system and make sure I'm already in that patient ledger so that when that approval comes through, all I have to do is drop in that payment. And what this does is it brings additional speed to the payment posting process. So we're really excited about this. I mean, today, our real-time posting, happens in seconds as opposed to minutes anyway. However, this parallel processing methodology will really speed this up even faster, which in our market, particularly for dental and veterinary practices, is really critical and really important, to them. So, in summary, before here I turn it back over, to Sam and the folks at Citrix, Liquid's RPA technology, allows healthcare practices the freedom to implement a superior payment solution without compromising on integration. And these assets, can be applied to automate other processes in the payment stream. So this inherent flexibility, in our tool set, and again, working with Automate, really allows us to adapt to varying workflows, helps our customers, optimize their human resources and increase productivity, minimize errors, and take costs out. So, with that, thank you so much, and I'll turn it back over to Sam or Shashi. I'm not sure who's taking over from this point.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. Thanks for running through the slides, talking to all these points. It was really wonderful. And thanks, John and Sam as well for the demo and the all the discussions what we had about the Automate RPA. It was really wonderful. I hope our audience also liked it. So let's move to Q&A session now. We have quite a good number of questions. Let's try to accommodate as much as we can in the time that we have got now. So the first question goes to, I think, Sam, it'll be for you. How does the licensing work for automation RPA?
Yeah, licensing is pretty, like we said before, is pretty flexible, meaning that you can start with one robot and we offer multi-year licenses or a yearly term license. So it's really pretty flexible as far as licensing is concerned.
Oh,
and we do also offer a free proof of concept so that you can install it in your environment. We can help you install and create your first processes and see for yourself how it works in your environment.
Okay, great. So does this work with web applications as well?
Yes, it works with web applications the same way it works with Citrix. It's all from the front end. It's all visual. It's what the bot sees. That's how it works. The same way of creating automation, whether it's client server, web application, thin client, it all works the same.
Okay. So I think, Sam, we have a follow-up question on that same thing. So what about pricing? Is it based on company size or machines using during those tests? So
no, it's only based on the robot. So a robot is the sorry, the piece of software is going to be installed on a dedicated PC or server, and you can run as many automations as you want on that server. Of course, they cannot run in parallel, but it doesn't matter on the company size or the number of automations. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I think let's switch to a little bit on the technical front. Okay, so the next question is, can you run multiple robots to the same ERP application if you have a volume of transactions to process?
Absolutely, yes. And we do have customers that are doing that right now, where the all robots are connecting to the same application at the same time, but they're doing different transactions, or yeah, they're doing different transactions, and it works pretty fine.
Okay, great. So continuing to that, so how do you handle passing records to those multiple robots?
Well, it's the director. Actually, we didn't have much time today. There's another portion of the solution, which is the director that manages all the robots, manages the workload, distributes the load on to the robots, and also reports on the processes when they were triggered, what are the results if they were successful or if they failed, and you can schedule automations as well. So you can have certain tasks to be triggered at certain days, certain dates, and so on. That's a
Awesome.
whole other portion of the software, but it's integrated with it. It's just we didn't cover it today because we didn't have time. That's the monitoring
Okay.
that Amy was talking about, and so on.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we have a few more questions. Let's take the next one. How does the RPA solution streamline with testing and monitoring?
Well, it's the same. So we have a different type of robots, but you can install them all on the same server, and it streamlines because you have the same installation, the same way of creating the automations, and then when the director, depending on what you want to do, if you're going to do performance testing, of course it simulates multiple users on the same platform, or if you do continuous monitoring or functional testing the same way. So you have kind of 4 solutions all integrated in the same platform.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I think we lost the presentation. So Sam, I have made it the presenter again. So probably if we can just put it back on the slides, that would be
Sure, I
great.
would do that.
Yeah, thank you. Amy, you're on mute, I think.
Yeah, apologies.
Okay.
I thought you were going to take it back from here.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, we have
You
few
can
more
see my
questions.
desktop. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
can. Yeah, the slides are visible. Thanks, Sam.
Yes.
Yeah. So monitoring of the robots was mentioned to get ahead of issues. How are you monitoring their progress or rate of error?
Yeah, so that's part of the what the director does. Actually, when the robot starts an automation, you can see in the director, you can actually monitor it through VNC connection, and you see the robot going through all the steps of the automation. And also, if you don't want to, you can turn if you're not looking at it through VNC, you can see that the automation started, and then at what stage it is, what it's processing, and if there are failures, you can see screenshots of those failures, and actually the whole log, visual log of what's happening, what happened throughout the whole automation, every single step, what was on desktop, what was a robot doing, and so on.
And just to add to that, right? We have visibility to those, and we leverage and use those tools, within our, Automate relationship as well. So they're very helpful.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, let's see this one. Yeah. So what is the hardware requirement to run a bot? Is it like one VM or multiple bots could run on the same VM?
Yes, you can run multiple bots on the same VM. It can be a server or PC. It's just Windows operating system. Obviously, PC will only run one robot, because the robot needs the access to the desktop. But on a server, you can have multiple robots running at the same time.
And Sam, I just wanted to chime in again, and
Sure,
Shashi,
please,
because
yes.
we work with a customer base, right, that ranges from small, right, one office practices to larger groups. And the tools really, it's a light footprint, I guess, is really the point I want to make. So it's not a heavy footprint that is required, to run these bots, which is critical, in our industry and in our implementations as well.
Thank you.
Thanks for adding that, Amy. Yeah, so considering the time, I think we could conclude this webinar. But before we conclude, do you want to convey anything to our audience? Sam, Amy, John, anyone?
Well, first I want to thank Amy and John and Liquid Web for helping us with this and telling us about their experience. I think even us, we learned a lot today. We are here to help to assist anyone with their automation. And like I said before, it doesn't have to be a big project. We have our methodology. We can start with one automation at a time. You can decide what works for you, and our engineers will help you through the process.
Yeah, and I guess just to, I just want to echo Sam's comments. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. And again, we're excited to be a part of it. So thank you, Sam and Automate and Shashi and the Citrix team. And if anyone, would like any more information about Liquid, you know how to find us. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely, Amy. Thanks, Amy, and thanks, Sam. And thanks
Thank you,
everyone for
Shashi.
joining this call. And yes, please keep an lookout for an email from Citrix Ready team. You will every 10th attendee will be able to claim the gift that Amazon Echo Dot. Great. So thanks everyone for joining again. Take care. Be safe.
Thanks.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
one ahead.
Bye-bye.
Bye everyone.